Here with Noah Wyle, one of the stars of Falling Skies, premiering later this month on TNT. Excellent series, produced by Steven Spielberg.
Thank you very much.
And this role is a very different one for you, physically demanding at times. I'm wondering if that was part of the appeal.
Yeah, I was looking to challenge myself as much as possible. New genre, dynamic character, physical role. Something I hadn't done before. I don't think I quite knew how physically demanding it was going to be.
right.
But I learned fast.
Yeah. No, we did a screening of the pilot in Boston, and we had a packed house. They all loved it. But one of the first questions they all had was, how come nobody has a Boston accent? Because the pilot does take place in the Boston area and mention a lot of local landmarks. And
I've got former in-laws all over Massachusetts, and not all of them have Boston accents. So we have a couple that have stronger accents than others, but this is a show that's set in Boston because there's a historical allegory to the American Revolutionary War being fought on the exact same land.
Right.
About a group of feisty colonists who are repelling an overwhelming unwanted enemy. But aside from that, it's a pretty universal story, and I think they wanted to make it regionally accessible to other areas. And if you go down the Southie route and you have really strong accents, I think you're playing to a much finer demographic.
Right. Now, there's a lot of change for your character because you start off as a professor, and then you're thrown into this post-invasion situation, kind of put into a position where you're leading people you don't really want to.
Yeah.
How much is your character going to change, having only seen the pilot in the first episode?
It changes quite a bit. That was one of the attractive things about it for me, is you always look to find the juiciest arc you can play, which is you want to start a character in one arena with some expertise and efficiency, and then have to take them through a series of circumstances where that skill set is totally useless.
Right.
And they question their validity of existence all through it, and then eventually get them to a place of competence and confidence. And it makes for a really juicy role. So yeah, this guy's an academic. He was a former American history professor at Boston University who has some familiarity with battle strategy and tactic because of being a teacher, but is not a military leader by any stretch. And he's forced to lead 300 civilians out of the city of Boston, which has become overrun, and become kind of a de facto military commander, which is not a skill set that he brings to the table.
Yeah, and that includes a lot of conflict with Will Patton's character.
Will is on the other end of the leadership spectrum. He's the militarist, I'm the humanist, and we have conflicting ideologies about how to survive, and that puts us oftentimes across the table from each other.
Yeah. Now, you're some of my favorite scenes in the show, actually, they're very well written and acted, are the ones between you and your sons.
Yeah.
And I was wondering how much of your real-life role as a father you put into play
a lot
in the show.
A lot. You can't. It's unavoidable, really, if you have kids and you're playing a father. To not use that resource would be criminal almost. But I got paid a really nice compliment from the kid who plays my youngest son in the show, Maxim Knight. The first day we shot this scene ended with me giving him this hug, and apparently he went to his mother afterwards and said he hugs like a dad. And I thought, okay,
that's good.
Good.
And then finally, I don't know if this would be something you could even reveal. Will we eventually see any flashbacks of maybe what happened leading up to with your wife or
because the show starts off 6 months into the invasion and doesn't really show you what everyday life was like for these characters or what the initial days of the invasion were. We leave the door open to visit it. My gut instinct is that's kind of a stunt. It's kind of a device to do a flashback show.
Right.
And the only way to really justify it is by having a storyline that hinges on a clue that you have to go back to find. That we need to go back and see who these people were because it pays off on an arc that is coming up in the future.
Right.
Aside from that, I think we've got plenty of stories to mine in the present.
Yeah, there's plenty of storylines going on. Well, it was an excellent pilot. I'm looking forward to seeing the rest, and it premieres June 19th at 9 p.m. on TNT. Thank you, Noah, for joining us.
My pleasure. Thank you.
WAAF.com.